The other day, I asked a friend, wait a minute here. The other day, I asked a friend what she wanted to let go of from the last year. Everything, she said. Complete self-erasure. We laughed at the absurdity of it and at the thin, uncomfortable filament of truth running through the joke. How often we look back on a year with a prosecutorial eye, tallying what we didn't finish, the habits we couldn't break, the person we failed to become. By January, many of us are already exhausted by ourselves and by the prospect of having to fix ourselves yet again. End quote. What I just read is a piece by Suleika Jawad, posted on Substack last week. It makes me laugh. She writes, "Over the years, I've subjected myself to all manner of New Year's overhauls. I will seize the day. I will wake up at dawn to meditate. I will write 1,000 words by lunch. I will swear off sugar, start wearing sunscreen religiously, go to the gym 3 times a week, and never again sleep with my phone in my bedroom. By this time next year," she writes, "I will have written a book and emerged calmer and fitter, also morally superior." End quote. Resolutions are often outcome-driven and binary. Success or failure, repair or ruin. And unsurprisingly, resolutions don't work very well. Research suggests that most resolutions fail within a month, which means that many of us spend the first weeks of the year not renewed, but at best, quietly chastened. At worst, like a failure. At least that has been my experience of resolutions in a new year. If you have a different experience, I would love to hear about that. Today, the first Sunday of a new year, we find ourselves in a liminal space. Christmas lingers in the rearview mirror. New Year's Eve, whether we celebrated enthusiastically or quietly endured it, is still close enough to touch. And ahead of us stretches this brand new year, wide open, kind of a clean slate, perhaps, carrying hope, expectation, or quiet sense of apprehension or uncertainty. As a teenager, I wrote New Year's resolutions faithfully. I would resolve to eat better, exercise more, drink 8 glasses of water a day, or follow whatever beauty routine 17 magazine promised would transform me. I was raised Christian, very Christian, so I also made faith-based resolutions. I would read my Bible every day. I would pray more. I would be better. Every January, I would start strong. If I missed a day, that's okay, I'd try again. But if I missed 2 days in a row, that was it. I was lucky to make it out of January with my resolutions intact. And what I understand now, as I look back, is that most of those resolutions were not rooted in kindness toward myself. They were rooted in judgment. I wanted to look different. I wanted to be more attractive. I wanted to be more disciplined. I always wanted to be thinner. That's what it was to be me. And there was an assumption behind my resolutions that I wasn't quite enough as I was, that I needed to be better. And if I was disciplined enough in following my resolutions, I would be better. It all seems kind of silly now. And yet, I don't want to throw the whole idea out, because I do believe that there is power in setting intentions In the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition of Buddhism, there is a 3-month annual retreat called the Rains Retreat. It takes place from October to January. It's the rainy time of year, and monks and nuns who live at Plum Village in France, which is the retreat center founded by Thich Nhat Hanh, they use those 3 months to stay at home to really focus on their practice of mindfulness and on study. My wife Lisa practices regularly with the Sangha, and one of her teachers adapted the Rains Retreat idea for the Sangha here. The handout that Lisa showed me listed dozens of different areas of focus, and the invitation was to choose however many you want and to focus on them for those 3 months. And I thought, well, that sounds cool, but 3 months sounded like a long time to me. But I always do try to add some intentional practice during Advent, during those 4 weeks of Advent. So I adapted. I chose 3 practices from the Rains Retreat list to consider daily throughout the 4 weeks of Advent. Here are the 3 that I chose. 1, looking in the mirror. 2, drinking water. And 3, morning meditation. Nothing heroic, nothing impressive. I didn't know what to do with them exactly. I mean, obviously I was going to drink water and look in the mirror during Advent, but how was that a spiritual practice? Well, I started with morning meditation and set an intention. I would meditate 5 minutes a day. Talk about a humble goal. For me, it was a start. And I came to look forward to it. 5 minutes became 10 or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes more. And I think it became longer because it was just this gentle practice. I meditated daily, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And I looked forward to it. Drinking water was interesting. Mostly, I noticed tap water, and I would intentionally choose tap water. No ice, just a glass, right out of the faucet. I mean, sometimes you see my habit had been to spiff up tap water with bubbly, fancy water, flavored water that comes in a can or a bottle. I mean, I'm not in the practice of drinking plain water in plastic bottles, but if it was bubbly and grapefruit or berry flavored, my favorites, well, who can resist that? It turns out I could, and mostly I did during Advent. I noticed tap water. I noticed how good tap water tastes. At least ours does. I've lived in places where it does not. We are so fortunate to live where safe and delicious and free water is so readily available. The mirror practice surprised me the most. Every day, I intentionally looked at myself in the mirror, and I just noticed something about what I saw. Some days, it was simple. I like my hair today. Or, I have a nice smile. Sometimes I would just smile at myself in the mirror. Other days, the mirror practice went deeper. I felt gratitude for my eyes, for the gift of sight, for my ears, for the gift of hearing. I noticed my face. I look like my mother. The shape of my face is like my grandmother's, especially as I age. I noticed that. My mouth looks like my dad's. He would get a certain expression often when he was concentrating. Sometimes I see a photo of myself and I'm doing it too. Looking in the mirror mindfully helped heal a little bit the way I'd become accustomed in my life to evaluating my appearance. I was raised with a lot of shame. And decades later, to some extent, I'm still working with that in myself. So, although I'm not big on resolutions, I found making a commitment to a practice for a period of time to be really quite meaningful. It made me more present, more honest, more grounded in gratitude. And it reminded me of something I do know about myself. I can commit to a practice at least for a season. A whole year? No, that is way too much for me. I know this about myself. But fortunately, one of the great gifts of our Christian faith is the seasons of the church year. For everything, there is a season. The year spans before us, but it's not just one endless stretch of effort. The ancestors of our faith, in their wisdom, split it up for us. The church year, of course, doesn't start in January. It begins 4 weeks before Christmas with Advent. Advent is this time of waiting and preparation. Then Epiphany, light and revelation. Lent turns us inward. Easter, resurrection and surprise. Pentecost brings us spirit and community. And then the rest of the year, well, ordinary time. It's just ordinary. And that's about right. Most of life is lived faithfully in the middle. Just ordinary time when we can hang out, get to know ourselves, maybe love ourselves, do some important work, learn to embrace the ordinary, the mundane. Ordinary time reminds us that faith is not lived only in dramatic peaks, but in the steady, unspectacular days when we just keep showing up. Today is Epiphany Sunday. Epiphany arrives not with a demand to change everything, but with this flash of light that helps us see what is already here. I recently discovered a new poet. His name is David Gate. He got his initial following on Instagram. One of his poems is our modern lesson today, and it's also in your bulletin. It begins, "If life is a comic tragedy or a tragic comedy, it makes no difference at all, because either way, you still have to commit to the bit. You can't afford to half-ass it. Whether you feel like the star or a simple cameo, our task is just the same. Speak your lines with voice of vigor and with all your chest, like you believe every word from your gut, because you are the only one who will ever get to play this part. You are the only one who will ever get to play your part." That feels like Epiphany to me. Not the pressure to be someone else, not the demand to optimize our lives, but the invitation to show up in this season, in this life, with this story. Epiphany reminds us that God is revealed not at the finish line of self-improvement, but in the ordinary, courageous act of showing up. So this year, may we all commit to the bit, to our lives as they are, to our faith and the way it steadies us, to reality and however it will unfold in this coming year, and to the sacred truth that no one else can play this part but us. The point of all this is not how well we perform, but the fullness with which we live.